Prime Minister Davis pays tribute in the House of Assembly to a fallen colleague. The opposition slams the PLP for failing Grants Bahama. BPL's managerial union signed a new industrial agreement, and the Progressive Liberal Party gearing up for its national convention. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jcn with your Jcn News for this Wednesday, October 25th. Thanks for joining us. The nation's leader moved a resolution in the House of Assembly when parliamentarians reconvened this morning, thanking Governor General Cynthia Pratt for the speech from the throne, which she delivered on October 4th at the opening of a new parliamentary session. Prime Minister Davis, in his contribution to the resolution, gave a preview of the legislative agenda that the government will embark on in this session of Parliament. Prime Minister revealed that his government plans to lay the foundation for the new Bahamian economy through the passing of new legislation.
The new Registrar General Bill will pave the way for a modern registrar with greater online accessibility. The Consumer Protection Bill will protect the Bahamian public from misleading and dishonest business practices, allow for formal complaints to be made by consumers, and strengthen our existing laws to account for 21st century developments such as e-commerce activities. The new Economic Empowerment Zone legislation will outline the incentives and concessions available in specific geographical areas in the Bahamas. This is a critical step that enterprising nations take to ensure that opportunities are mapped out and investments are made strategically. This was a key promise made in our blueprint for change as we plan to deliver major investment reforms.
The Prime Minister further spoke of presenting opportunities to Bahamians in the orange and blue economies through the establishment of a performing arts center, as well as laying down the legislative framework to allow for the National Apprenticeship Program in an effort to ensure opportunities are available for the next generation of Bahamians. A part of that effort is ensuring school children receive their first and most important meal of the day.
This program is a pilot, which means that when we assess its operations in a few weeks or months, we'll make the necessary tweaks and logistical adjustments as we prepare to develop a model that we can scale up to cover the entire nation. Once again, this is how strategic development is done. And yes, you'll hear about this program in our next budget and the budget after that, because this is intended to be a permanent program that will impact the lives of our children for years to come. We are preparing the next generation for opportunities within the orange and blue economies as we introduce the National Maritime Instruction and Training Bill and complete the necessary preparations for the first ever National School for Creative and Performing Arts. Our investments in our young people don't. The National Apprenticeship Bill is also being drafted for the anticipated launch of the National Apprenticeship Program in the near future. The National Youth Commission Bill and National Services Bill will also be rolled out during this legislative.
The Davis administration's legislative agenda for a national development centers around one key word: security, personal, economic, and national security. The Prime Minister spoke of an introduction of new bills in an effort to aid in the national security effort.
During this legislative session, we will introduce amendments to the Defense Force Act, and we will introduce a Royal Bahamas Defense Force Cadets Bill to allow the Rangers to become an official youth arm of the Defense Force. The Act will be amended to reflect our current immigration realities, and regulations will be introduced to govern the operation of the detention center in accordance with international best practices. To aid the fight against crime, we will introduce a slate of new bills, including the National Security Council Bill, the National Intelligence Bill, and the Conditional Release of Offenders Bill. also introduce anti-gang legislation and amendments to the Firearms Act to require safety training for every license. New legislation will be introduced for cyber crimes, and a new Data Protection Bill Act will be introduced.
Acknowledging the parliamentary session as ambitious, the nation's chief says that the passing of laws is just the first step towards effective action. Their success or failure will be determined by the lives rehabilitated, communities made safer, and efforts to preserve justice as well as security. He added that though his administration has made progress in 2 years, it is not enough considering families are struggling, education is in need of remediation, and the public healthcare system is not where it should be. But he vowed that at the end of his term in office, Bahamians will see their country in a more prosperous state. Now, prior to the Prime Minister's contribution to the resolution, he honored the life and legacy of the late Obie Wilchcombe, whose vacant seat is still draped in black and adorned with a photo of the late MP.
As I stand here today in this honorable house, I feel the absence of the Honorable Obadiah Wilchcombe. We are still a people in mourning after such an irreplaceable loss. This nation is better today because of the contributions made by our honorable colleague. We must now honor his legacy by ensuring that our conduct and our priorities continue to reflect what is in the best interest of the Bahamian people. That is what Obie is all about as leader of government business in this house. His contributions are now a part of the permanent record of this house with the passage of the resolution in his honor last week. Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Obadiah Wilchcombe had a profound belief in preserving the dignity of the Bahamian people. That was evident in his approach to policy making and its implementation. His footprints could be found in our blueprint for change, and he continued to influence us as we took office in September 2021.
Last Wednesday, parliamentarians, in the absence of the Prime Minister, who was attending a Canada-CARICOM summit in Ottawa, Canada, honored the life of the late MP with a resolution and tributes. The late Minister Wilchcombe, who represented West Grand Bahama and Bimini, was also Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, and was remembered as a broadcasting and political giant. He died on Monday, September 25th. Well, with the impending by-election for the constituency of West Grand Bahama and Bimini after the unexpected passing of its representative Obadiah Wilchcombe, the official opposition is hitting out hard at the Progressive Liberal Party as campaigning has begun. Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard spoke to the state of West End and Bimini as part of a larger critique on the Davis administration's lacking presence in Grand Bahama. Add to that, he accused Member of Parliament for Pine Ridge Ginger Moxie, who also serves as Minister of Grand Bahama, of misallocating resources intended for the entire island.
Where was the love for the high unemployment that we witnessed them not addressing? In fact, the Member of Parliament for Pine Ridge sought to concentrate resources in a way that it would benefit her constituency. Though there is very little that could save her now, but failed to focus on the West unless the office of the Prime Minister was controlling the limited resources they sent to the West. Certainly wasn't controlled by the Member of Parliament. And even then, as you drive through the community, you can see very little evidence of the serious work that the Prime Minister as Minister of Finance has done in West Grand Bahama. He should have provided more help and resources for the Member of Parliament, but failed to do so.
listing the accomplishments of the FNM in West End and Bimini, refuting claims made by PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell. Mr. Pintard argues that despite the PLP having represented the constituency for the past 40 years, their record is not as stellar as they claim. He further suggests that the Davis administration did not provide resources to the residents of the constituency, even at the request of its late MP.
If they can find 100 homes that they have touched in Grand Bahama, it will be a miracle. When we left office, 2,600 plus homes were touched, either with $2,500, $2,500, $5,000, $7,500, or if you lost your home entirely, $10,000. And even that was not enough. This administration pales in comparison in terms of what they would have done. But we thought it important enough when we heard a voice note circulating, persons taking credit for work that they did not do. Let me also mention that we are particularly concerned that this administration has chosen to use the theme One Love, a theme that was effectively used by the former member of Parliament. Like, where was the love? As people were complaining about craters and potholes throughout the community that have only begun to be patched in earnest since the passing of our dear brother and the prospect of a by-election.
Mr. Pintard goes on to critique the government's efforts in providing relief to victims of Hurricane Dorian in Grand Bahama, charging that the worst year of governance under the FNM post-COVID pandemic is still better than the best year under the PLP post-COVID.
Today we have a list of some 350 homes. 350 homes that require small home repair. The question is, where was the love while these residents were waiting on social services and housing that's now calling them relentlessly? Where was the love from this administration? I could not believe the flyer that I saw with the very person who sought to reject the member of Parliament. I mean, it's just incredible the lengths that this administration is prepared to go to get votes. Where was the love from the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, who withheld the resources needed, not just in West Grand Bahama, East Grand Bahama, because certainly they are an abysmal failure when it comes to Dorian relief in East Grand Bahama. The worst year of the FNM under COVID is better than the PLP's best year. We had 2 years after COVID. They had 2 years since the government changed, and they have failed.
The opposition leader says that in the build-up to the by-election for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, the party intends to reveal more on perceived failings of the PLP on the island, going on to speak of an instance where the government awarded a contract to 2 separate contractors for the improvement of the administration center, which would later become a legal issue. A similar instance for work to be done on a school. Mr. Pintard suggests that such actions result in legal jeopardy. In news from the crime front, a 27-year-old male employee of a local resort here in the capital is in police custody, assisting detectives with investigations after he allegedly stabbed a female co-worker sometime before 9 a.m. on Tuesday. According to police, preliminary reports reveal that the male got into an a physical altercation with the 28-year-old female, which escalated and subsequently resulted in the woman being stabbed. She was taken to hospital where luckily her injuries were treated and she was discharged. Investigations continue. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.